It's Tim Albright with AVNetwork with another SDN Tech Talk. With us today is Barry Sheldrick from Meridian. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Good to see you. Good to see you. You guys have a new speaker called the DSP 8000XE. First, let's talk about the overall look of this speaker. It is aesthetically gorgeous. You guys have done a job of making sure that it can be placed pretty much anywhere. So what was the driving force behind the design of the DSP 8000XE?
Yeah, that's right. We've been working on 8000XE for around 6 years now. For us, it was an opportunity for us to create a brand new platform for our loudspeakers. Clean sheet of paper design, and you basically engineered everything again from scratch. So whilst we have that same iconic shape of the DSP 8000, there's really no carryover from previous models. We wanted to really be true and keep that iconic design, but then improve every single area of that, from cabinet aesthetics, and then importantly for us as well, the electronics and the DSP platform we use as well.
You see that it took you 6 years, and you guys started with a blank sheet, and I love that concept, that thought there. What did you guys learn over the 6 years of development?
A huge amount, really. I mean, for us, this project name was Extreme Engineering. It's pushing ourselves to move to the next level of performance. We've been making products since 1977, and as technology has advanced, so have our designs. So this for us was a way of resetting and almost starting again and saying, okay, we know, and it's a well-trodden path for us to have DSP loudspeakers, but what can we do to ensure that as soon as the speaker receives an audio signal, that we neither add nor take away anything from that original signal? And how can we have this real purity of signal path through the loudspeaker and then ultimately into the room to the listener?
One of the aspects that you guys kind of put into the DSP 8000XE is Meridian FreeQ. Describe what that does and the challenges that it overcomes in the living room environment, in the television room of a typical house.
Yeah, sure. So the loudspeakers for us, they always sound the same. They have our sonic character that is well loved around the world. The big issue you find when you actually go to install a loudspeaker is how the speaker interacts with the room. And that is especially in the bass region. So one of the things that really changes from room to room is the bass energy. And when I'm explaining this to integrators or clients that visit the factory, what I'll typically do is I'll talk in free space, so won't be near a wall or a corner, and then I'll walk backwards into a corner of the room, and you can see how the tonality of my voice changes. It gets a lot thicker, and the lower register, the bass in my voice, especially in the chest, is a lot more prominent when I'm stood in the corner. And that really is the same thing for loudspeakers. So the boundaries within the room really make a big difference to how the loudspeaker sounds. So if the speaker is close to a wall or into a corner space, you'll find that the bass becomes really exaggerated and boosted by the boundary. And that affects the mid and high frequencies. So the speakers can start to sound slow, you lose detail, you lose clarity and focus. So what FreeQ technology does is remove the room from the loudspeaker. So our engineers have set 3 different modes. Four, I guess, because free means I'm standing in free space, which pretty much never happens because no one wants a speaker in the middle of the room. And then we have wall, corner, and shelf modes, which have preset roll-offs in low frequency, which basically negate the impact of the room. And so it means that the integrator and the client have a great deal of freedom of where they place the loudspeaker and not have to worry about the ill effects of the room really masking that detail and clarity that we've worked so hard to preserve in the first place. So it's a cool piece of tech because it's super simple to use, and you can just switch between those settings live listening to music, find one which works in the room best, and then clients all set ready to enjoy.
It's absolutely amazing. The one thing I want to point out here is this is not a box with some horns and tweeters, right? This isn't a dumb speaker. There's all kinds of technology in here that you guys have developed over 6 years. Stuff like that, stuff like the FreeQ is absolutely amazing. You also have something called bespoke signal mapping. How does that work with the system and the speaker?
Yeah, good point. It's probably the smartest speaker that you'll find. Yeah, there's a lot of sophisticated analog and digital circuitry inside there. So bespoke signal mapping for us is key because as the audio comes into the speaker, it's the full frequency range. So that's the lowest registers of bass or all the way up to mid and the super high frequencies, even into ultrasonic with the new tweeters that we use. So the challenge you have is each drive unit is designed to handle a specific range of frequencies. So tweeter is designed to manage those high frequencies. The mid-range driver is the mid-range energy, as its name suggests, and then the bass drivers handle bass and sub-bass. So part of the process for us within the DSP 8000XE is to ensure that each one of those drive units is only fed the frequencies it's able to replay. So bespoke signal mapping is our way of saying, okay, well, this range of frequencies is sent to the sub-bass drivers, which are the bottom pair. This higher range and sub-bass is sent to the upper four bass drivers. The mid-range driver is only sent the mid-range information, and then the tweeter is fed that ultrasonic information. And the bespoke signal mapping happens on the command board, which is our new brain of the loudspeaker. And part of that extreme engineering program was to ensure that once we've decided the range of frequencies that we've split up that signal into, we want to make sure they make their way to the digital to analog converter without adding any noise. So we use what we call sync link, which is a balanced digital connection. And there are 4 of those. So one for sub-bass, one for bass and sub-bass, one for mid-range, and one for high frequency. So once we've done the bespoke signal mapping, we ensure we maintain the integrity of those 4 signals as they go into the next stage. So it's super geeky. It's exactly the sort of thing that you think we might do as a company. And the result is amazing clarity and detail, and basically makes you feel like you're wherever the content was recorded.
Just for the record, it's exactly something I expect Meridian to do. Absolutely, something geeky like this. Yeah, absolutely. Really quickly, because you mentioned this a couple of times, and that's the ultrasonic and the sub bass. Dumb geeky question, actually. So typical human hearing, like when we're born, we hear 20 hertz up to 20,000 hertz, right? That's generally accepted. It's very generic. It's very overarching here. But you mentioned ultra frequencies and sub bass, meaning outside of the human hearing. Why even, I guess, bother with those types of frequencies?
Yeah, it's a good point. People say, well, you have a tweeter that can do 40 kilohertz. That's twice what I can hear, which is true. And actually, you can't really hear 20 hertz either. It's more of a feeling or a sensation. So subsonic really is those super low frequencies that become more of a tactile type response rather than necessarily an audible one. So for example, we've had some thunderstorms here recently. There's definitely some subsonic in a thunderstorm. And thunderstorm could easily feature in a movie or even in audio recordings. There's a tool track we've been playing quite a lot recently that has a thunderstorm that rolls in over your shoulder, which when you feel it and hear it, it's a completely different event. And with the 8000XE, we have the best frequency response we've ever had from any loudspeaker. So the minus 3 dB points, so the part where it starts to drop off in terms of volume, is 18 hertz, which is why we really call that subsonic bass. That really does dig deep. It's quite cool for horror movies as well. A lot of the suspense you get in a horror movie is that the director will mix in subsonic bass, which makes you feel super uneasy and on edge. So there's quite a few films that get really quite scary when you have that ominous presence. And then again, at the high frequencies, there's a lot of study that's done that we can actually, I guess, assimilate or feel high frequencies, which are above our audible range as well. So there's research that says we can absorb it, and this is going to sound a bit strange, through our eyes. We can absorb some of that super high frequency energy. And the key thing here is not whether we can hear it or not. It exists. We shouldn't add anything to it. We shouldn't take it away, and we should present it to the listener. So that's why for us, we've gone to these extremes with the 8000XE to really make sure that every part of the signal through even the inaudible but more sensory type energy is all maintained for the listener.
Well, you're also adding another sense, another one of our senses to an experience, whether that's music or, like you said, movies, where we can now feel it, that feeling kind of brings us into whatever the art is. Well, again, whether it's a movie or it's a piece of music, absolutely. Uh, Barry, before I let you get out of here, where do you see the ideal room, the ideal location, the ideal use case for the DSP 8000 XEs?
Well, traditionally, we'd have said with that platform, it's a familiar form factor. We'd have said big rooms, definitely. But in doing a lot of the research and also the listening work that we've done here, I've heard it in huge spaces. We recently did the US debut of 8000 XE over in New York, and the room was probably 25 by 15 meters and probably 4 meters tall, which is something in feet, I'm not sure, lots. Very big space. And my initial thought was, wow, that's a big old room. We don't get those in England, really. And they sounded astonishing in there. We had them in the FreeQ setting, was free because we just had no boundaries. And so they worked really well in a big space, which is kind of to be expected. We have nearly 1.75 kilowatts of power per loudspeaker. But interestingly, we have much more compact rooms in the UK. And so I've heard them in much smaller rooms, which are more like 5 or 6 meters, which is quite a common size of room in the UK. And they worked amazingly well in that space. And I've heard them in theatres as well. And there doesn't really seem to be a room that worries or phases the loudspeaker. It just seems happy in small spaces or large spaces. And a lot of that is a testament to the engineering work and those DSP technology we built in, like FreeQ, perfect balance, and also image focus. So yeah, they're super versatile. Traditionally, I'd have been definitely on the side of the larger rooms, but now I'm super comfortable specifying them into any room that wants the most amazing experience. And we have the technology to tune and tame that power in the smaller rooms and to really enhance and maximize the output of the speaker in the larger spaces as well.
All right, very good. Barry Sheldrick from Meridian. If they want to find out more about the DSP 8000 XE or anything else from Meridian, how do they do that?
So you can check out our website, which is meridian-audio.com. You can see on there. We've got various demonstration options at our factory in the UK. Everyone's very welcome to visit just north of Cambridge. We've got 3 different systems set up. Over in the US, they're also on demonstration in New York, and we'll also be over at the CEDIA Expo as well. So you'll be able to hear them over in a suite at the Omni as well. Yeah.
Very good. Barry Sheldrick from Meridian Audio. Thank you so much, sir. For us, for AVNetwork and SCN, you can go by our website, avnetwork.com. That's avnetwork.com, and find more. SCN Tech Talk, avnetwork.com, avnetwork.com.